Sorry, I keep... Well, John. Well.
Well, Ben.
Good afternoon.
Your acting skills are appalling.
I know.
Just absolutely appalling.
And that's how you know we mean what we say.
Yeah.
But yes. No, how are you this afternoon?
I'm okay. A wee bit tired.
I'm a wee bit tired as well. Well, by a wee bit, I mean I'm really quite tired. We've had a day, haven't we?
Well, we're up early.
We were up early. We were on Sonia Bolton's show doing the news review, Rise brand on YouTube. I just want to apologise for my lower than usual input today. That I was having technical difficulties galore. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong, including one of my fillings falling out.
Yeah. I mean, you still soldiered on, mate.
Yeah,
You're a trooper to the end.
And the filling has been replaced because, you know, can't afford a dentist.
Yeah. Self-dentistry, the way forward.
It's not something I advocate, by the way. Don't.
2022 and we're reduced to self-dentistry.
I am using actual dental filling.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, it's ridiculous that you can't even get a dentist.
Well, it is what it is, right? It is what it is.
Well, there's a lot of people these days saying that they've been chucked out their dentists because apparently dentists are saying there's no NHS dentists here anymore.
Do you?
You can go if you want to pay, but other than that, tough.
Well, you know,
you were going to talk about YouTube. I have to remind you.
Yeah, I am gonna talk about that. Do you remember the Gillette advertising campaign, which almost got them absolutely decimated? Where they turned it from the best a man can get to the best a man can be, and they had all of these misogynist men in their advertisements going, you know, if you use Gillette, essentially you will be a better man. Do you remember that?
Not well, kinda, but not particularly. It didn't really strike me as misogynist.
No, it wasn't misogynist. It was really, really woke, and they had the misogynist men in them. You know, the blatantly, and then the other men go, no, dude. When I say misogynist, like you say, you know, some of it was just normal behaviour, like someone finding a woman attractive, and then another guy come up and go, no, dude, that's not cool, and stuff like that.
No, I don't remember that.
But anyway, I digress because it was an absolute disaster for Gillette, right? It was only a couple of years ago. It was an absolute disaster for Gillette.
Go woke, go broke.
And it seems like the British government took a look at that advertising campaign and went, I want me some of that. And have now put out, and I just saw this ad this morning on YouTube, and it was from the British government, and it was about harassment of women and girls. And
how to do it?
Well, apparently, well, the thing is, I do want to talk about this for a minute, because we talk about a two-tiered society, right?
Yeah.
DW saw that as well. We talk about a two-tiered society, and this advertisement specifically marketed towards harassment of women and girls. Harassment of women and girls is a crime. Why isn't harassment of anyone a crime? Why are there special laws particularly pertaining to women and girls?
Are there?
Well, that's what it certainly alludes to.
It's news to me.
It says harassment of women and girls is a crime. Now, what they define as harassment bothers me.
Sorry, yes it is.
Yeah, but what they define as harassment bothers me because it could be something like wolf whistling, right? That's a crime. It could be something like making a raunchy offhand remark, perhaps, and that's allegedly a crime.
So any kind of attempt, no matter how clumsy the attempt at flirting is, it's a crime.
Yeah. And you know what?
What are they trying to do? Stop us breeding?
Well, they're trying to stop us having normal interactions. And I'm not going to turn around and say that, you know, someone being overly sexually aggressive is a normal interaction. It isn't, right? It isn't. But the things that these people depict as bad, you look at it and go, is that a crime though? Is it? Yeah. Because these are just, when I was a teenager, women would do way worse to me. Put it that way. And secondly, these laws, as I said, I need to come back on it, are alluding to only being aimed at women and girls, or, to protect women and girls. Now, surely these laws should be equal and should be about not doing this stuff to anybody if you're not going to do it at all. But it just got me thinking, why is it okay, seemingly, if you do it to a man? Because it's not saying in the advert, don't do it to a man as well. It's saying this is about women and girls. This is about protecting women and girls. This towards women and girls is a crime. Now, people don't know this. This is true. Men are overwhelmingly the victims of violent crime. Men are overwhelmingly the victims of violent crime in the streets. Men are overwhelmingly the victims of violent crime walking home at night. These things are true.
They are also the perpetrators.
I was going to say that as well. They are also overwhelmingly the perpetrators, absolutely. But it's almost like we've gone, because they're overwhelmingly the perpetrators, we'll forget they're overwhelmingly the victims too, and we'll just say, fuck men.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where we're going, isn't it?
It bothers me. It bothers me greatly.
Yeah. There's a lot that bothers me in this world, but I'll tell you what doesn't bother me.
What's that?
Episode 170 of Chasing Dissent Live. 170.
Doth appear atop your head.
Yes, indeed, it doth.
And I just want to continue my thought, actually, because they were going to release that app, weren't they? That was for women and girls for walking home. If they felt unsafe, they could press the button on the app and it would go through to the police and ping and thing like that. But it was for women and girls. It wasn't for men. Now, I'm not saying that. I wish we lived in a world where nobody needed that kind of protection, or nobody at least thought they did, but we don't. But if we're going to arrest people, or if we're going to approach the problem doesn't need to be men are toxic, men are bad, men need to do this, men need to change their behavior, because ultimately a crime is committed by an individual, right?
Indeed.
And you're not going to solve an individual committing a crime by demonizing an entire group. You're not. In fact, you're probably going to foster hatred, foster resentment, and ultimately create worse. Yeah. Incels, anyone?
Indeed you will.
Right, so let's go for it. DW says Caroline Henry and a local councillor started this shit. Well, I don't know. All I know is what is happening and what I am seeing, and I don't like it. I think it's going to create more division and ultimately create more problems. But let's go. Let's go. Where are we go? Oh god, yeah, we're going immediately into the man on the thumbnail, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going straight to the horse's mouth. Kanye himself.
The man who loves his net and Yahoo a bit too much.
Well, yeah, and he loves the man that was featured in Time Magazine's 1938 and 39 Man of the Year. In fact, he was featured on Time Magazine on the front cover quite a few times. A couple of times as a goodie and a couple of times as a baddie. See the one on the right? That's the unholy organist.
Okay.
And the wheel has his victims strung on it as he's sitting there at the front with his back to us playing the organ. Meanwhile, the West, I think, judging by the people on the left, looks on.
I don't know what to say to that, John.
Well, Time Magazine used to put people on the front cover if they made a significant contribution to the news, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
Not so Times Man of the Year front cover issue was never about people who were just solely good. It was just people who were very newsworthy.
Right.
And you can't take anything away from him in that respect. He was newsworthy.
Yeah.
Much as Kanye has become the news, really, over the weekend, hasn't he? I mean, after his meltdown, he's storming out of Tim Pool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he was trying to do on Alex Jones's show. And, I mean, he's just lost it.
Well, we kind of lent into this earlier on Sonia Polton's show, and I said, do we think that he has done this on purpose to grab the headlines to make sure his name is in the news? And remember, this man is a master manipulator of PR, right?
Yes, I know that, and I know that no publicity is bad publicity, but
Some
holy
publicity is very bad publicity, John.
Yeah. If he's a master manipulator, he must have left his master manipulation at home.
Well, I was sitting there wondering, is he wearing this mask, the Balenciaga mask? Is he wearing this on Alex Jones' show? Because if he didn't have it on, everybody would simply see him sniggering his way through this.
I don't think so. I think he's lost it.
But then,
what benefit? Give me a benefit that he can take from this. He's not going to be president.
No, of course he's not going to be bloody president.
I mean, he was never going to be president.
If
He's lost billions in contracts.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And he's lost the respect of many. He's lost the respect and love of his family.
Yep.
And he's lost the respect probably of many people in the world after what he's just done. So where's his benefit?
Well,
where's his net benefit?
Did I say that he was in his right mind? Because this was going to be my next. This is where I was going to follow on.
Yeah.
So this man, in the space
kind of playing fast and loose, they are.
So this man, in the last 3 weeks, has lost $1.5 billion worth of net worth. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's already been separated from his kids for God knows how long by his wife. Allegedly he caught his wife in bed with another man. He put that out on Twitter just before he was yeeted, didn't he? He's lost everyone and everything around him. He was unable to even use his Apple Pay. People aren't taking his calls. And maybe he is just doing anything and everything he can to... He's panicking. And what can I say, scream, that's going to put me on the front page of everything? Hi, Net. Well, I don't know. Because remember, these people live in a completely different world to us, right? And they crave, live off, and desire fame, love, affection, relevance. Without it, they're nothing. And they've had it. They've tasted it. They don't want to be nothing again. A lot of them. I mean, Karen Allen, the obvious exception there. Do you remember Karen Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Played Marion in Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
After she did Raiders of the Lost Ark, she was like, nah, this isn't really for me. I just want to go back to a normal life. She ended up working in a toll booth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that is a celebrity that you can sort of appreciate. You can sort of look up to, because she did her thing. It took a lot to coax her back into the 4th movie, and I bet she regrets that abomination. But many celebrities, they get a taste of the fame, they get a taste of the lifestyle, and that's it. They want nothing else. And if he loses his relevance, his fame, his money-making machine, what is it?
But he's doing that. He's losing it because of what he's doing.
Yes.
I mean, he must know that if he comes out with these statements, then it's going to turn people off.
Maybe.
I mean, we touched on this in Sonia Polton as well, because I brought up the example of David Icke, who had I would say, similar meltdown publicly and on air, right, where he declared himself to be the son of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And
the Queen was a lizard and things like that. You know, lizard people ruled the world.
Yep.
So, and Sonia tried to explain that, I think because she's maybe a friend of David Icke, but she tried to explain it in that he had an epiphany and could see everything and was bursting to get it out. But to me, just as an innocent bystander who has no skin in the game,
Yeah.
it just looked like a man who'd gone over the edge and was having an actual mental breakdown, right? I think he came back from it, and he's since done very well for himself on the public speaking tour.
Yeah.
And most of what he says is right, but he still actually bangs on about this reptilian brain thing, which he's kind of transferred it into the reptilian brain to try and take away from the fact that he actually did say that they were shape-shifting reptiles.
Yeah, of course, because that is never going to be accepted and acceptable as a viewpoint from the wider public. And you know, it will land with a base. It will land with people who do believe that, and there are people who do believe that. And in fact, there is a woman, I forget what her name is, she's an American basically podcaster, and she's got a cult of reptilian believing followers, and they're an actual cult, and one of them killed her partner. Because she convinced.
She was convinced that he was a shapeshifter.
No, it was so weird, right? So she convinced him, he was the cult follower. She convinced him that the partner, the girlfriend, was the lizard. Was the shape-shifting lizard. Was the cold-blooded one. And he had basically a mental break, put a gun in her hand and squeezed the trigger.
So she killed him, but she did it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is there are people that genuinely believe this stuff. And they believe it to their very core.
And this is going to shock our audience. Because we've suddenly come upon a line where we haven't crossed it. I don't think this is something I can even entertain.
No, it's not something I can entertain.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll move to the second slide, because I think that this meme here, this meme here, kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
What pill did you take? Fuck, you took all of them.
Yeah, I think that just does kind of sum it up.
But whilst we laugh, one of two things is happening here. Either this is a man that's very unwell and needs some help, right? Or this is a master manipulator who, for reasons unfathomable to us, has got us talking, having this conversation right now, same as the conversation we had this morning, which is all he ever wanted. It doesn't matter what the conversation was about, whether it was positive or negative, as long as his name was on their lips. It's one of those two scenarios here.
I'm leaning towards a former.
So you think that Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos are taking full advantage of the situation?
Yeah, I think they're exploiting a man who's having a mental break.
No, he's lost everything.
Yeah.
He has lost everything. He's lost his...
I mean,
he's still got $450 million.
Yeah,
so he's got that buffer.
He's not a master manipulator. He's just lost it.
Oh, Adam says, would like to welcome at Flat Earth Channel to the stream. I see you lurking. Hello. Hi there.
Interesting.
Hi there.
Can't see my map, can you?
It's a latitude and longitude calculator, John.
It is a latitude and longitude calculator. Anyway, back to reality.
Yes,
away
back
from
to
Kanye.
I mean, this is one hell of a jump from Kanye West to the RMT.
I don't think it is that much of a jump, because we're again dealing with people who aren't living in the same reality as us.
What, you mean the unions?
Yeah.
Hi.
I mean, what is it they intend to achieve here? One, you've got the RMT, right?
Yep.
You've got the nurses.
Yep.
You've got and let's not even talk about TikTok, okay? Right. So you've got the RMT, you've got the nurses, you've got the teachers, Yep. You've got the fire brigade. You've got the border force. And have we got anyone else? And the road workers are going to go on strike at the same time. Right. So all public sector,
Yeah.
more or less.
All holding the government by the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they hope to achieve? I mean, do you want to bring your country down? Because, okay, I'm not a great fan of government. I'm not a great fan of this, ask not what you can do for your country pish. But really, with everything that's going on just now, with the amount of people that have been put out of jobs, with the amount of small businesses going to the wall, and it's not just 1 or 10 or hundreds, it's thousands, if not tens of thousands of small businesses.
Absolutely,
that
thousands
are going
in
to the wall.
Thousands in the hospitality sector alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all that happening, you want your pound of flesh. You want your 15-20% pay increase to keep up with inflation. What about the people that have lost their lives, their jobs, their livelihood?
The
what
family
about those
homes.
People? Yeah, what about those people?
No, these people.
Because really, I think the whole thing's disgraceful. I think
you're absolutely right. I think that they are a disgrace. I think what they're doing, especially at this time of year, let's look at the NHS. This is when they get their most admissions. It's disgraceful that they're gonna strike now. Let's look at the teachers got a couple of weeks break this month anyway, haven't they? Let's face it, they're off on a couple of weeks break, and most jobs, including the firefighters and the nurses, don't get the kind of holidays that the teachers do. Just saying.
No, they don't. And they don't get to take as much time off as the teachers do.
They'll be going, but we're working through the holidays, right? And I say that like that because what about the basically 2 years you just took off? And we provided online learning. Well, I had kids in school and there was no online learning. I can tell you that. None. Zero.
Woefully bad.
Yeah. So, and they didn't even send work home.
Yeah. So, you know what?
And
I don't have a lot of time for this because I think these people they're just trying to take advantage.
And at this time of year, when people are travelling around the country to see their family, see their friends, see their loved ones, it moves us nicely on to the next slide because Christmas travel warning as road workers strike at the same time as rail walkouts. People are not going to be able to get trains. People are not going to be able to use the roads properly because fuck the time of year. Sometimes people need this time of year to get them through without them chucking themselves off a very large object, right? They need that family interaction. They need that family connection. And if these strikes stop that occurring and cause someone to go over the edge, who's to blame for that? And it's a very good question because this is the time of year where most people, I believe, end up doing something to themselves. It's, and also, Christmas for a lot of people this year is going to be more about the family than the presents than many years previously because nobody's got any fucking money.
Yeah,
right?
and people that took cognizance of restrictions didn't go and see their family when they should have.
No, they should have done. They should have done. They really, really should have done. And
because remember, Matt told us it wasn't the rule. It was just guidance.
Just guidance. Just advice. Just guidance and advice.
Just guidance. It wasn't a rule.
But I mean, my wife got into it on Twitter actually with someone the other day because we were in it about the schools and the online learning, yeah. Mm-hmm. And somebody turned around to my wife and they said, "Don't act as if it wasn't up to the schools. It was up to the schools. The legislation made it very clear that every single school in this country, at their own discretion, could have opened their doors in full to full teaching and full lessons from day one and never closed. Every school chose to. And how do I know that? Because lawsuits that were filed against the government revealed that. So the government could not be sued for school closures because it was up to the schools. It wasn't up to the government. The government simply issued advice, or maybe you should close your doors, but entirely down to your discretion. And I think because of this very reason, because they knew they were going to get sued. So whilst they made it very clear, and I mean, that loophole really shouldn't exist because they were very clear on TV that they would be closing schools. Legally, they didn't close schools. Schools could have opened in full and offered full, non-mitigated teaching as normal, and there would have been no repercussions for that. The schools chose not to. The schools chose to close their doors, and ultimately, they could have opened them. So let's not pretend here. Let's not. Anyway, let's move on to Peter Hitchens. What have you got here for us from Peter?
Well, this is an excerpt from Matty's diary, his book, right? And he's saying, what he's saying here is he got a text from Boris early on in the thing, when they were starting the lockdown stuff, at 6:30 in the morning, saying that since the COVID thing had been reevaluated and someone over 80 only had a 6% chance of dying from it, and I think that has probably been, the science has revealed now that chance was actually something like
1%, 2%,
or 1 or 2%. So anyway, Boris said that he thought that wasn't enough to justify what they were doing, and I have to say, I think Boris was right. It wasn't enough to justify what they were doing. And he goes on to say, if he was an 80-year-old and he was told the choice was between destroying the economy and risking my exposure to a disease that I had a 94% chance of surviving, I know what I would prefer, he argued. Right?
And you know what? I will not give much credit to Boris Johnson. But all of the old people that were asked said exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly.
They all said exactly the same.
So Hancock then goes on to say, this exchange continued on WhatsApp pretty much all morning, was more than a little stressful. Oh, I'm sorry, Matty. Was it stressful for you? Do you think it was stressful for the people that couldn't see their relatives, for the people that couldn't be visited, for the people that had to lick windows in order to say goodbye to their dying relatives in care homes that they were unable to comfort? You think it was stressful for them that you stopped them seeing them, that you put them there?
I'm not quite sure what he expected. That the chief medical officer, chief scientific advisor, Cummings, and I would all suddenly throw our hands up and say, you know what, you're right. Yeah, they should have done.
Yeah, they should have done. And you know what else he goes on to say in this clip that you can't see, right?
Right.
He goes on to say that I don't know who he'd had breakfast with that day and put these ideas in his head.
What you mean? The only idea
he was talking about Boris.
So the only ideas that would have been put in his head would have been that we follow our actual pandemic response, which we have on file and have had for God knows how long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Hancock is exposing himself, in my view, as a complete and utter cock. I mean, the man has no redeeming features whatsoever.
And he still, to this day, has absolutely no qualifications in medicine, science, anything of the sort.
And has he ever shown remorse?
No, and he never will. He didn't even, right, so of the I'm a Celebrity that I did watch, he didn't even really show remorse for what he did, what the people were actually angry about him, which was his affair with Gina during the restrictions. What he actually did was say, I fell in love.
Just fell in love. Wasn't my fault.
Do you know what, Matt? Most people in this country, young people especially, right? People 18 to 25 maybe, that's the time when they start just falling in love and meeting in random places and having those chance encounters. But they weren't allowed to have those, were they? I'm just saying, even that excuse is pretty fucking feeble when nobody else was even allowed the opportunity to just fall in love. So, or as Sajid Javid says, so what?
So what? And speaking of so what, so continuing on the theme of, these people have lost touch with reality, the Navy's going to have to step back in and ferry the people across because the border force have gone on strike. And remember the last time the Navy stepped in, we thought, the Navy's going to step in.
They just became a taxi service.
and they just brought more people.
They just became a taxi service.
Hey, country's fucked, mate.
Yeah. No?
I saw a clip from Andrew Tate yesterday, and basically he said, if you have any money and you can get out of the UK, do it now. Do it right now.
I don't have any money.
Country, yeah, I know, but do it right now because this country is in the toilet and it's not coming back. And I think he's right.
I do, and maybe not even really because of the migrants, but I mean, I think that plays a part.
It's a combination of everything.
But I think that this country is on a massive spiral downwards. I mean, I keep seeing things about us being pushed back into the European single market and into the Schengen zone. They're going to try and do that to us. This so-called conservative government are going to push us back into the European...
It doesn't matter. Well, hold on. What do you mean back into the Schengen zone?
Well, into the Schengen zone, because we weren't in it, were we? No, yeah,
no,
you're right.
Never in it.
You were right to pull me up on that, because we weren't in it, and that was a slip of the mind. We weren't in it. But if you re-enter the European single market, one of the conditions is the Schengen zone.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So you will be allowing unmitigated travel from 20 odd other European nations, and even without passports, they'll just have to have an ID card. And
that's true, because I mean, if you think about it, when I went to Europe, when I was in Europe, and people used to say, how could you travel through 8 countries in the midst of COVID? And it's quite simple. No one asked me not to. No one told me I couldn't. In fact, I was legally allowed to do so because I was in the Schengen zone. Exactly.
You're exactly right. Once you're within the Schengen zone, I mean, when you did encounter a couple of border guards, but usually you wouldn't, right?
Oh, well, that's true, right?
That's true.
I encountered border checks in Denmark and Sweden, but they weren't to do with the pandemic. Because they weren't interested in your status. They just wanted to know that you were allowed to be where you are. You were legal, yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody ever asked for any proof of anything apart from McDonald's in Germany.
Oh yeah, and then you just went, nah, fuck that.
Nah, fuck that.
Fuck that. Aye.
I'll go and get one on the Autobahn.
Yeah. And they don't ask for them there.
No, they don't, because you don't ask for things on service stations, because then you have to deal with truckers, and
you don't want to deal with them.
Don't want to upset the truckers.
But it was kind of the same in service stations in this country, right? Whilst everything was locked down, I could go sit in a Costa and quite happily have a Costa coffee. Yeah. Yeah. And I did. Yeah. More than once. Yeah. Just go to Costa, get your drink, go sit at the table, like pretty much everything was normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we travelled out of the UK, it was in a tier 4 lockdown. Or
yeah, you just stop at a service station. You're all good.
Yeah, there was no problem at service
McDonald's
stations.
was open.
Yeah, everyone was open. Everyone was open and available.
Yeah, and
no requirement to do anything.
Well, the only requirement I ever found at the service stations was maybe the requirement to queue to get in the door, but that was it.
Yeah.
But once you were inside, it was just a free-for-all.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of free-for-alls.
Well, not free-for-all. Free for a certain family, but not free-for-all.
So the Democrats are on Twitter this morning screaming that Trump refused or failed to disclose a £19 million donation or something like that, right?
Right.
And yet now we have the Biden family scored $31 million from deals with individuals with direct ties to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence, and yet tumbleweed.
Hunter, we give you money for Dad. You know turn one.
And then, I mean, the strong inference from much of the information that's come out from Hunter Biden's laptop is that Hunter Biden himself, Hunter Biden himself is a very dubious character. And while some people think he is a bit of a baller, and he calls his dad Pedo Pete.
He really does, yeah, that's in his phone.
He might not have fallen too far from the tree.
Now, this is merely speculation, but some of those girls, some of those pictures, they look awful. Some of those videos,
Awfully young.
awfully young. Awfully young. And maybe even relations. As in familial relations.
It's quite...
Which if you believe...
Distasteful.
I was going to say, which if you believe Joe Biden's own daughter from her own diary, would also not be falling too far from the tree.
No, that's true.
No, I mean, true. These things are real. Okay, obviously, the young Biden girl's diary is real, because if it wasn't, then the FBI would not have got involved and, you know, raided Project Veritas, who never even purchased the diary, I might add. But they wouldn't have got involved if it was fake, would they?
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Natasha says
like
the game. Sorry,
the game everyone in the family can play. Yeah. But it's like when you start hiding things and stopping people talking about them, then the naturally suspicious character thinks, hold on a minute, why can't I talk about that? There must be something not quite right.
Oh, yes, and that can apply to many situations. It really can.
Can't it just?
It can. Shall we move on to NATO? My God, this show is flying by. Shall we move on to NATO?
Yes, let's move on to NATO. So, NATO has a massive exercise in the Baltic Sea. Now, bear in mind, tensions are already high in the area. Yeah? Yep. We had the near miss with Poland after Zelensky tried to initiate World War III and failed.
Yep.
Right? And now we have 12 nations, 23 vessels, and nearly 5,000 troops took part in the partner Finland's largest exercises at sea, providing valuable training that contributes to the increased security in the region. And I would say increased tensions in the region as well.
I was going to say...
There's a time and a place to do these things, and it's probably not when you're... I mean, NATO, you can't show strength in that region because you don't have it. That's the problem.
No, you're right. And put it this way.
You know, I actually come up with what I think is a masterstroke of genius.
What's that?
Well, you know how we solve all these problems?
Get rid of governments?
No. Well, no, but you could solve this one problem that's going on just now quite quickly.
Yeah.
Let Russia into NATO.
Would you think Russia would want to join NATO?
Why not? Then NATO wouldn't threaten it.
But let's face it, right?
Now, let's face it, Russia's not communist anymore. The only reason that NATO was designed was to stop the communist threat.
Right now, I'm NATO, and the camera there, that's the Russian bear. And they're basically going like that. And then they're going, come on, do something. Do something. Come on, do something.
Yeah, let Russia into NATO, and then we can all team up on China. China!
I mean, China is the real problem, isn't it? Let's face it.
China is the dragon.
It's the threat. It's you know, we've seen the whistleblowers coming out and saying, yes, it definitely was the cause of a certain, shall we say, aerosol.
Yeah.
But you know, Natasha says pulling the lion's tail. And do you know what? The problem is Vladimir Putin is so insane that one day he's just going to call their bluff and he's going to push the button. And
especially if he's ill as reported.
I don't believe he fell down the stairs and pooped himself.
No.
I don't. Okay. Let's move on to
speaking of
scare stories.
Scare stories, yeah. Well, it's a scare story, but there's some fact behind it, I suppose.
There's a fair bit of fact behind it, but it's still a scare story, isn't it?
Right. So why has the NHS issued an urgent alert? Okay, so that's the first question, because what are we supposed to do?
Nothing. There's nothing we can do.
Right, okay. So we touched on this subject on Thursday, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bacterial infection strep A.
Right. Bacterial infection strep A. It's not a new strain. Okay, nope. So there's nothing to be done there.
Nope.
Okay. The normal incidence would be about 0.5 per thousand for children of death, and it's running about 2.5 per thousand just now. So it has increased.
Yeah.
Now, that's still going to be very rare for it to actually happen to your child.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it any better if it does, obviously.
No, and being the parent of 2 young children myself, you know, I would...
But strep A bacteria is quite easily combated with antibiotics.
Right.
Right? But they've got to be given appropriately and quickly. Early in the infection.
Yeah, appropriately quickly, right? And in a probably a massive dose, I would imagine.
Well, no, I don't think so, but they just need to be given early in the infection.
Right.
So the question then is, how easy is it for you to see the doctor and for the doctor to diagnose things? So that's question 1, right?
Yeah.
Question 2, if the doctor won't see you, how likely are you to take your child to the hospital and there be seen? That's question 2.
Well, right? It's ridiculous wait times because the doctors won't see anyone.
Yeah. So question 3 then is, what harm did not being able to mix with their peer group, and while mixing with their peer group, have to wear devices that maybe caused bacterial loads to increase in the respiratory tract rather than decrease? Bacterial loads I'm speaking about here, not viruses. Okay, so that's question 3. Question 4, what about general immunity? Because people were kept inside for a long time and then not allowed to mix with their peer group.
Yep.
That's question 4. So, and question 5 is, this isn't a spike in a particular area because it's geographically diverse where it's occurring. Okay, so this is not because
it's not peer to peer.
It's not because of one thing and it's not transmitted. It's not because of one thing that's happened. It's because of a multitude of things that have happened to most people in the country, I would suggest.
You would say happened. No, I think that's very simplistic. Has been done to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would suggest that thing was applied to them by government. Yeah. And I think the government's the fault for this.
I agree wholeheartedly. The government knew what they were doing as well. They couldn't not have. When if these people, Sir Patrick Vallance, Sir Chris Whitty, are so knowledgeable in these areas, then they knew what would happen when they imposed this upon people. They knew what they would, not just within the sphere of things like strep A, but also with the fact that they closed down the NHS. We still can't see the GPs because of them, right? So I think that these people, not just government, because let's face it, Whitty and Vallance are not government. They are not government. They are employed contractors.
They were advisors to government.
I think they've got blood on their hands, and I think they've got knowing blood on their hands. They knew what they were doing. They knew what would happen. I mean, there have been studies given to them by universities, were given to Whitty and Vallance, were given to the government, that said there would be in excess of 500,000 deaths as a result of not the SARS-CoV
lockdown.
But they went ahead and they did it anyway. You know, the numbers of the SARS-CoV or CoV given to them by, or the potential numbers given to them by Professor Neil Ferguson were not true. Not true in any way, shape or form. But even that largely inflated, out of control, wild number was half of what they were told would happen because of their restrictions. And they went, oh, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
We'll do the thing that's likely to kill more people.
And that's what your government, here in the United Kingdom anyway, with the knowledge that was given to them, did to you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they did to you. And you're right, John, to say that they are, at least morally, I would say literally, but at least morally to blame for every one of these strep A cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I think with that, we should move on to another fucking depressing story, shall we?
Yeah, so we brought this story up last year
We
in
did.
November when this was revealed, and the spike in the number of deaths of newborn babies in Scotland, and
Yeah.
it jumped quite dramatically.
It did.
21 babies under 4 weeks old died in September, and you would normally have expected to have seen something like 4.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a massive spike, and it triggered their reporting mechanisms, and it said they were going to investigate it. That's over a year now, and we've still had nothing back. I can find nothing on the Scottish Government website about this. I can find nothing on the update of the story from the BBC.
Why do you think?
Because
they have an answer and they don't want to tell you what it is, and that's as much as I'm going to tell you.
You know what it is!
That.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
That you know what it is, right? I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can come to your own damn conclusion, but in your heart of hearts, you know. It's as far as I'm going to say. Anyway, let's move on to disgraced ex-footballer. And I say disgraced, maybe not in certain circles, but surely in the mainstream. Matt Le Tissier. What does Matt have to say for us, John?
Well, he's just stating something that he's obviously noticed. He notices that there weren't many high-level celebs who used their voice to condemn Balenciaga after their pedo photo shoot. I think it was Joe Biden who recently tweeted that silence is complicity.
I'm just going to
ironic.
I'm just going to put myself big screen because I have a genuine answer for you here, and I'm going to.
Oh, good.
I have a genuine answer for you. I can tell you exactly why this is. Money, 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 money. That's why that is, John.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think you are right.
How many of them, including Kanye, who's been wearing their stuff still, by the way, he wears their boots, he was wearing their mask on Alex Jones. How many of them were paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by this company to promote their shit?
I've never heard of them.
The thing is,
recently.
I want to know how much Kanye's Balenciaga boots were, because they're a fucking pair of wellies, and nobody will tell me anything different. And I want to know how much a company like that charges for a pair of wellies.
A pair of wellies.
So if
That's
you could
exactly what they are.
get me that figure, could you, John, during the course of this show? I want to know how much a pair of Balenciaga boots are.
Bloody hell. Balenciaga? Well, Adam, you go search for that.
Adam,
You're doing the show. Adam will do that.
But that's why. Anyway, let's move on to One Tower Hamlets. A tweet here from @save something or other. So it's replying to @Janet Davey. Maybe have a chat with Sadiq Khan about TFL Underground. So what's his clipping? I used a pollution monitor for a week.
Yeah, so this guy used a pollution monitor in his house and places like that for a week. And basically, the worst thing that, well, traffic doesn't really factor into it because traffic all happens outside.
Yeah.
And you don't, the pollution just blows away.
Where
generally.
it dissipates, at the very least, But
you stir fry and you scented candles in your house and you're getting way more pollution into your body than you would if you stood outside in the street.
Yeah.
And you're producing more pollution than, like a car would, because most cars, petrol cars, are fitted with cats, and diesels all these days have, all this nonsense with urea and stuff like that they're putting into the exhaust system. So, the actual pollution that's produced by vehicles is very low now. I would actually surmise that probably a vegan eating cyclist produces more in methane than a car does in pollution. But anyway, apart from that, and then you go to the London Underground, and the numbers go through the roof.
Well, of course they do. It's an underground tube system where, as in the article that's on there, the only time that stuff can move around is when the trains are flying through the stations and pushing it through the tubes to the better one. Anyway, we've got some updates from Adam. 1,650 for one pair, £825 for another pair, £650 for another pair. I'm imagining the £1,650 pair of wellies is what Kanye was probably wearing. They're wellies.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, what kind of company can get away with selling shit for that amount of money without paying a whole bunch of celebrities, and the celebrities are going, don't want. I mean, even Kim Kardashian, she did make a statement, but she didn't say I'm ending my ties with them. She was like, I'll have to reevaluate my position with Balenciaga as more information comes out.
Oh yes, I need more information.
I need more information. Need more.
Here's more information. So this little burp that this Indonesian volcano has done, has probably produced more CO2 than the human race has over the last 200 years.
I don't doubt it.
So what? Why are we concerned with what we're doing? I mean, any volcano just puts a shadow of them into what we're doing.
I've got a very good idea. Do you want to hear?
Go on.
I've got a very good idea, and just roll with me on this, right?
Yeah.
So we got them Just Stop Oil protesters, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I think we should go to them and say to all of you, right, guys, put a pin in it, right? Put a pin in it. I've got a killer rebrand for you. Just Stop Volcanoes.
Yeah, Just Stop Volcanoes.
And then what you need to do is you need to go to these places just before they erupt and go stand on the edge with your little signs.
Yeah.
At the edge of the volcano. Just go, don't erupt! Don't erupt, please! And see what happens.
And
see what response the volcano gives you.
Yeah, I'd like to show you this excellent chart from our friend Latimer.
Good old friend Latimer, a friend of the show. Latimer.
Yeah, so the black line that goes up and down is the atmospheric CO2.
Yeah.
The blue line is the average global temperature.
Okay.
Where can you show me that it depends on atmospheric CO2?
Hey. Don't show that to Gettr. She might have to answer a question.
And the problem is, just because at the moment average global temperature and CO2 levels are both very, very low.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're related to each other.
Correlation, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't equal causation. It does not. It never will do. It never has until it does.
This is the assumption that Al Gore has picked up on, and Michael Moore and all that. And it's just not there in the evidence. It's not there in the facts. It's not there in the data.
Imagine Michael Moore turning up to ambush you or interview you. Just see him coming waddling on down the street. On. Here comes Michael, everybody. See him a mile off, so he's not exactly going to shock or surprise. I do think he's lost a lot of weight, hasn't he, old Michael Moore?
Yeah. Speaking of losing a lot of weight, we lost a lot of money investing in renewables to do what?
Just impoverish us, John. Impoverish us.
Yeah. So at the end of last year, the next slide, please. At the end of last year, overall fossil fuels represented 81% of the world's energy consumption. 10 years ago, they were 82%.
Yeah.
That's only cost us 3.8 trillion of investment in renewables to move from 82% to 81%. Didn't we do well?
Yeah.
Didn't we do well?
We did very, very well. And speaking of doing well, I'm going to design later this afternoon for release on our item shop, on our merch shop, a Just Stop Volcanoes brand T-shirt.
Cool.
I'm going to design it today.
Do that. And I've been playing with designs for mugs.
He has. Yes, he has. They are coming along. They are in the design phase, but I'm telling you now, we're going to sell an orange T-shirt.
In fact, if you go along to Discord, I might even put up a sneak preview of one that I'm purporting for myself.
Yeah, and it's quite good. I've got the design for this shirt in my head. I know exactly what it's going to look like. It should only take me about 5 minutes to knock together.
Cool.
I don't know when the Just Stop Rain group is going to start though, Beats Crates, but I'm telling you, Just Stop Volcanoes. I've even got a logo in my head.
Just Stop Rain's gonna. It's fine because Just Stop Rain's gonna. We'll tell you at the end. It's a big surprise.
It's a big surprise. I mean, anyway, I think we're gonna have to start flying through these, John, because we're nearly at the hour.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're getting to the more light-hearted sections shortly. So, BBC 2014
reporting Ukrainian World War II bad guys.
Yeah, and all they wanted was All they want is a clean nation for one people, and say they hate.
We won't say that.
We hate.
We won't say that.
We hate them and them.
No, but yeah, though that doesn't shock or surprise me considering how much we know about that place, right? Just because they're not the good guy doesn't mean that Russia's the good guy. I mean, I know why I keep having to preface that, but when you've got two bad guys fighting one another, why should you care?
And there's no winners. There's no good guy here. There is no good guy. Speaking of good guys,
the irony that we are seeing here.
but doesn't this just sum up the modern day Scotland?
Yeah.
Exactly. What the hell is going on here?
Well, they'll say something along the lines of, so New Year's Eve last year, and it'll probably be the same this year as well. I went on my old mobility scooter to the London Eye, didn't I? And I streamed from it. It was quite terrifying how drunk people really do get in London, I must admit. But every statue in Parliament Square, including Churchill, was put in a box, right? And they'll say it's to protect them from the public. It wasn't. It was to stop people having a party on Parliament Square and putting a Christmas hat on Churchill. That's what it really was.
Yeah, big deal. I mean, really, these are I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's just pathetic. That is pathetic.
I mean, do you know what I want to see Mel Gibson turn up and physically tear that down himself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just turn up. Come on, Mel.
If you're getting to the point where you cannot grasp what gift to give this Christmas, consider this. Or don't. Your choice. If somebody gave me that, I would not be a happy bear. and then check out the NHS advert for it.
Oh my word, they've turned a virus into the Grinch!
Yeah.
Don't let flu and coof steal your Christmas. I tell you what, I hope that the estate of Dr. Seuss sue somebody.
Yeah, I think they should. Yeah.
That's pure fucking plagiarism right there. You know, Dr. Seuss's estate. I know that you're being cancelled right now for some reason in America, but you know, if you need to get some money, sue these people. Sue them. Adam says he's ordered 10 for the mother-in-law, and Natasha says the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, there you go.
Oh, I saw something about this next slide the other day.
So these two guys were playing golf with each other, which is fine. And then they had a disagreement, and this disagreement just kept on going all day. They went to the casino. The disagreement obviously kept going, then fueled by drink, I would assume. And then this guy went nuts and bit his mate's nose off.
I mean, you know, it's Mike Tyson and Holyfield all over again, isn't it?
But the question I've got for you, right, is why is it relevant that he made his escape in a Tesla before giving himself up to police? Why does it matter what kind of car he made his escape in? Because it says at the bottom there, he allegedly sunk his teeth into the victim's nose in a casino parking lot Monday night and fled the scene in a Tesla before turning himself into police 2 days later. Are we to assume from this that he is some kind of wokey who's gone off reservation?
No.
Or is it because Elon Musk is a bad guy now?
I think it's that, because let's face it, I would happily accept that line and that statement if he hadn't been found and they were looking for him. If he fled in a Tesla, we're looking for the Tesla. Otherwise, why? What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what if it'd been a Ford? Or dare I say it, a Volkswagen? I mean...
You leave the Volkswagens out of this, John!
There's just no basis for that. There is no need for that to be in there.
You know what? Despite their troubled past...
The next one's a cracker, okay?
I was going to say...
I don't know where this is. I was going to say something. It's from. Sorry.
I was saying something there, John. Just moving on.
Sorry.
I said, despite their troubled past, Volkswagens make some quality vehicles, John.
yeah, okay. Right. So I don't know when this is from, but it came up today, and I thought it was quite funny on a number of levels because one, right? Apparently, the Royal Navy dug out the world's most remote post office from Antarctic snow.
Yep.
It appears that they're using the Tin Man to assist them.
They were probably using just off camera Mr. Beast and his crew to assist them.
But look at the guy behind the chimney. It looks like the Tin Man.
It does look like the Tin Man, yeah. But no,
and secondly, when they dug it out, did they find out that they were on strike?
but like I said, that might even be Mr. Beast playing as a Tin Man, because that's where he's been the last week. I see a tweet of him. Haven't had any signal. Been in Antarctica with no signal for the last week.
Wait, how's he in Antarctica? You're not allowed to go there.
Oh, well, Mr. Beast and his crew have been there. And do you know what? Elon Musk responded to him and said, well, with Starlink, you could have had that signal anywhere on Earth.
No, you can't. Starlink won't reach Antarctica.
He says it will.
No, he's lying. I don't think that's in its operation zone. I think its operation zone's still pretty narrow. Yeah.
This is an ironic slide if ever I saw one.
This is not only ironic, it's eye-watering.
Is it real?
When you look, well, I believe so, right? But even if it's not, it's a good story.
12 kilograms of bacon.
It actually did say there was sliced bacon as well.
Oh, I'm telling you now.
That's a lot of bacon.
I'm shocked, surprised, impressed, and I have questions.
All of the above.
All of the above. I have questions.
I would just have to leave that as a humorous gesture. Now, and we'll have to end on a serious note, people, because get ready, it's coming. It's the beast from the north.
Oh, is it a great nor'easter? Is it, John? It's like a nor'wester.
It's to be it's not a nor'wester. It's to be a northerly wind that will bring Arctic air straight down over us. Temperatures will plunge to -8, so you will be turning the heating on, and possibly snow. Yellow warning of snow.
Bollocks. You'll get snow.
Okay.
I mean,
you won't. Yeah, you won't.
We won't.
Look at Southampton. It's clear.
Yeah, that's us.
In fact, you'll probably be all right.
Yeah, be absolutely fine. It'd be probably a bit chilly. Yeah.
We've got purple on our side.
Oh, Adam says we are forecast for snow too. Interesting.
Yeah, but Adam's over near Cardiff, is he not?
Not really.
Oh, is he Bristol? Bristol's closer to Cardiff than it is to.
Well, he's somewhere between
Brighton.
He's somewhere between me and that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. There you go.
But we are the south, so yeah. Prepare, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare for the blizzard, the great nor'easter.
By your beds.
The beast from the north, as they are.
Yeah, 3 hours from Ben, right? 3 hours is nowhere near you, mate.
No, it's not. No. I can get to Paris in just over 3 hours from here. Yeah, in a car.
And that includes getting on a train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beach Crate says, but we bet we don't get snow in Wales too. I bet you don't get snow because these weather forecasts are usually from people like James Madden of Exacta Weather, and they're just so wrong.
Yeah.
They're never right.
You know whose forecast you do want?
Don't say it.
You do. These forecasts are really good.
Say it.
Piers Corbin makes a lot of money out of those forecasts. Lot of money.
He probably does. And on that note, if you have enjoyed the show, then please give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a share, and if you're not watching live, leave a comment. Right? Leave a comment. But that share button is the most important. It lets people know that we are here and we are delivering for you 5 days a week. over on this channel, this wonderful, wonderful channel of John's that we are trying to grow and bring in a nice family. You can do so at PayPal. Nope. That's to sponsor my balls, which you can look at in the description. But you can do so at patreon.com/chasing dissent or Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/chasing dissent. And we do appreciate any donations that are given our way. They get spent on us and our setups and our shows.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to have to start a campaign.
Yeah, because
I got bad news today.
He got a bill for his van, didn't you, John?
Well, an estimated bill. Yeah.
Tell him how much it's going to cost to fix the van.
Between 1,600 and 2.
Yikes.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. And don't forget to join us at the Discord, where Adam has put the link below. John.
So with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending this episode 170 of Chasing Dissent Live. It's been great.
For you.
Christmas, all the Christmas trees on fire. Santa's holding the lighter. My parents are both liars. I got gifts but 1 subscribers. Thanks for the candy basket. Oh God, another jacket. My stocking's filled with acid. Am I dreaming? What just happened?